Cool, recording. So, this is oh, there we go. So this is some test code that I was doing with with my TYs. So we're gonna ignore that for the minute. And the first thing I'm gonna do is look at the exam. So I don't know if your exam's gonna be written in the same format. What I'll actually do real quick is I'll check these two past papers, just to see if there is a no, not that one. This one. Just just to check to see if there has been a change in format. So 2020. EM 108. Search. Was not 2020 paper. Okay. 2019. So this is the last paper that Gabriel made. Yeah, no change. The exact same. Cool. Okay. So based off of the two papers that we have access to, so turn out her. Oh, it's perfect. Damn. Better than any. See, the problem with looking for. I just got a message in the chat that was telling me how to fix my Zoom issues. The problem with looking up Zoom issues is that Zoom is used by like a bunch of people that aren't all that tech familiar, so they actually haven't a clue how to fix it. So turn off hardware acceleration. Grand. I think I had it on for something. The recording be available to non-NSOC people. Sure. Why not? I like normally. Well, actually, yeah, it's on our YouTube. What am I on about?
Yeah.
See, normally it's like the code gets put in the NStock Discord. You have to be in the NStock Discord. In order to be in that Discord, you have to be a member. But I mean, it's like exams, and also it's going up on the YouTube, so it'll be fun. So this is the 2019 paper. We're going to do this 2018 paper here. So if I look at the 2018 paper, here's the cover page. We can skip that. These are the directions for computer-based exam directions. You won't be getting this because you'll be doing it at home. It's all about H drives and stuff. They make you bring in a USB key to like back stuff up on in case something crashes. But you can see here we have the name of our two text files, which are down here, and then the headings of the data inside those text files. So you can see here we have a PPS number, a yearly salary, and what is it? It's yearly salary, then their pension allowance, their pension percentage, their health insurance percentage, and their allowance. So the numbers, ow, just punch my mic. The numbers in this don't make a whole lot of sense. They're just kind of like arbitrary numbers given. So just ignore that and just kind of do with whatever the exam says. Then we have employees.txt. So it's first name, surname, PPS number, nationality, age, marital status, and amount of children. So the marital status is binary. It's marked with either 1 or a 0. 1 if you're married, 0 if you're not. And then the amount of children that you have is a integer here at the end. So the first thing we do is look at the questions. So he has them broken up into, this is the total amount of marks given for the full question, and then there's kind of little sub questions within it that are worth a certain amount. So read the data from those from the files into two array structures. That's 10 marks. Then there's all like this kind of like, baseline stuff for the size of each variable and stuff like that. And then it's once read, the program should not allow data to be read again from the files, and a warning message shall be displayed instead. So the way that you make sure that data should not be allowed to read again from the files, the program should not allow data to be. Oh yeah, because he wants to do it in a menu, doesn't he? Yeah. So if you go down here, where is their menu? Yeah. So you have 5 points for using 3 external functions, and then another 5 points for using a menu. So the reason why he says that you shouldn't be allowed to read again is that the way that you're meant to write this is you're meant to use like a case, like a switch case, and then the switch case is your menu system. So you print all the options, and then inside each switch case is a call on an external function to perform whatever task needs to be completed by each question. The version I have here uses no external functions. So the benefit of sticking around is that I'm going to be going through how to take what I have, which has no external functions, and how to convert it into having external functions, which I haven't actually done yet. But I have a version of my 2018 paper here called 2018 External Functions. That's my 2018 paper for my TYs. That has how to use external functions with structures. It's not that bad because we're reading them in as an array, so it's actually the exact same as normal. So I'll be going through that at the very, very end on how to port them in. Or do we do that first? So if I'll just go through the code here. So what I have here it is. So what I have here is I have my structure set up, and then I have all my file reading and everything like that. And they're all kind of split up into each individual question. So part 4, part 5, so on and so forth. So here they are split up as individual parts, but they are all within int main. but you get 5 extra marks if they're external functions, and you get another 5 marks if you have a menu. Also, in order to get these 5 marks here, which is the program should not allow data to be read again, it requires you using like a test variable to make sure that switch case can't be used anymore. So that's how you would do that. But the problem with that is that you can't get this unless you use a menu system. So I think I'm actually going to go in from the. No, I'm going to go with no external functions, because I know that external functions are like pointers, and external functions are are easily the hardest thing you do. Like the combination of pointers and external functions, especially with structures, are the hardest thing that you do in the course. So I'm going to do it in the first place without external functions, and at the end go through how to turn them into external functions. So first of all, I will go over here. So it says here, read the data from those files. So in order to read the data from the files, we first of all need to set up our structures. So if I go to this, the structures can be, I believe, initialized within or outside of int main. In my 2018 paper, external functions, I have them established outside int main, but then in the code I have in the Discord, they're established within int main. For this one, I'm going to do it outside. For the record, I believe the establishing of your structures outside of int main do not count as one of the 3 functions for the 5 extra marks here at the end. So in order to set up a structure, we need to give it a tag. So type def. Actually, no. First of all, I'm just going to implement my libraries real quick. So I'm just going to steal those from here. There we go. Great. So type def struct, and then we give it a name. So the at least the way that I establish them, they tend to follow some kind of like central nomenclature. So if we're scanning it, if the first thing we're scanning in here is benefits, we're going to name the structure. Let me close my email there. We're going to call it benefits underscore tag. Is that right? Type def benefit tag. Yeah, perfect. Oh, cool. So now we need to, if I take this and take that, and then take that, and then take that, move it over here. If I look at this now, it actually gives us the variables that we need. So it gives us the names from them. So we have a name, a surname, a PPS number, a nationality, an age, married, status, and the amount of children they have. So if we scroll down here, does anyone want to tell me? Oh no, we're going to start with benefits. Sorry. So we have PPS number, salary, pension, health, and allowance. So does anyone want to tell me what this first data type is here? So if we have the
string.
Yeah, it's a string. So that's a character array. So we're going to call it char PPS, and it's, if we actually look at the exam, it says that they are to be assumed to be no longer than 20 characters. So we're going to have char PPS 20. So now each benefit line has a variable to hold a string. Next is their salary. So this number here, what data type is that? Yeah, I'm checking the chat here now. Integer. So this one is an integer because it has no decimal points. And if you look at the, I'm just typing in 37k. Salary. So, or not, I'll just call it val, I guess. Yeah, probably the easiest to do it. So next up we have this here. So again, this is an integer. So that's their pension allowance. So I'm going to call it int pension. Then I have, just move this out of the way. Then I have their health allowance, so I'll call that health. And then I have their just allowance, which I'll call allow. Right. So we have, yeah, it's a string and then 4 ints. So the 4 data type, the 5 data types you have are a string and 4 ints. Now sometimes when I'm doing these, I choose to establish them as floats instead of ints. Because sometimes, even though initially it starts off as a float, even though initially it starts off as an int, there's a small chance it could become a float. So on my 2018 paper that I did with my TYs, there was a discount involved. So there was a 10% discount off some of the prices that the customers had to pay. And if you go in and look at some of the prices, this one here, 10% would mean that this one was a float after the discount was applied. So I had to make all of these floats. So we had to make the price variable a float, because even the payment variable, we have to make the payment variable a float, because even though only one or two of them would become floats, they all have to be initialized as floats inside the structure. So the last part of this specific layout of a structure is that we now have to give it a name. So again, I just tend to name it benefits underscore type. So this we're reading in the this is going to hold the benefits.txt file. So it's benefits.txt, so it's benefits tag and then benefits type. So then I need to set one up for customers, sorry, for employees. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to change this to be employees tag and employees type. So the first two we have our strings. So I'm just going to space twice, go up and say car and say name, and again make it 20. Then car and say S name for surname, and again make it 20. Oh, that's not a hold on. There we go. Then their PPS number, then their nationality. So that's another character array. So car, and we're going to call it nation, and again make it 20. Then the last three are all ints. So that's int age, int married, and int children. Oh, children. Grand. So there's an integer for the age, an integer for the marital status. That's a binary integer, either 1 or 0, and then an integer at the end for the amount of kids that they have. So this here is our structures being initialized. So now what we have to do is we have to take these files and copy them and use code to take the data that's in these files and put them into the program. So if I go over here, the first thing we're going to want to do if we want to read in a file is we have to create a file pointer. So that looks like this, file asterisk and then FP. So this file pointer is what we're going to be using to open up our files. So we'll be using FP and we'll be saying FP is equal to, and we'll make it equal to a file. So that way we're using a pointer to point towards the file. So that way the program can interpret it correctly. Next up, if you look up here, it assumes that there are no more than 1,000 entries in each file, and you're to read them into. Can you put the full name and the surname because there's a space between the names, or because some of the names may exceed 20 characters? They're just two different data types. So because there's a space in between them, yeah, this is one data point. This is another data point. This is another data point, and because there's a space in between them, we have to register them as two different data points. And you can see that because if you go up here, he actually gives you the data point names up at the top. So he's given us the full names. I've shortened them down because I don't want to type in nationality every time I want to access it. So I tend to shorten them down a little bit. So we need to read these data in, when you read this data into two arrays of structures. So now we need to establish the arrays of our structures. So the much the same as a character array is a list of characters, and an integer array is a list of names, is a list of integers. A array of structures is just a list of structure variables. So benefits type is all benefits will follow this. They all have 5 data points. And we can have a list of all 10 benefits that we're being given. And the way we do that is by using an array. So if I scroll back up here and go benefits underscore type, and then call it benefits, and it's 1,000 long, which seems like a lot, but still. So now we have an array of benefits. So we can read up to 1,000 benefits into the array. Next up, we need to do the same for employees. So employees underscore type, call it employees. And again, there's no more than 1,000 of them. So now we have our two arrays and we just need to read into them. So the first thing we need to do to read into them is that we need to have a size variable. So we're lucky in this case because we know that both of these are the same size because we've been given them. So we know that there's 10 of these and there's 10 of these, but we need to make this program so that way it'll work in case there's 40 benefits and 50 employees. So in order to keep track of that is that we need to establish two variables that can be used to keep track of the size of each of them. So much like how in a for loop, you use a variable to dictate when you want the for loop to stop, if you're going through an array with a for loop, you need to say the for loop is going to stop once it hits the end of the array. And this I and j here are the variables we're going to be using to keep track of the size of both of these arrays, because there is 1,000 possible spaces, but we're only going to fill up 10 of them or 20 of them or 30 of them, and I and j will be equal to the amount of spaces that are actually full. because we're going to code it in now. So that way, when it's reading in from the files, it'll increment I for every line. So the next thing we need to do is point our pointer at something. So F is equal to F open. So this bit of code here just opens a file. So the file is called benefits, benefits.txt, xdx.txt, and it's being opened in read mode because we're reading from the file. Now, I actually don't have the file yet because it's over here. So if I just go here, give me a second, download a zip, and then where's my supposed to download a zip, but it's not giving me oh, there it is. Okay, cool. With okay, so move this over here. So in order to read in a file, I know using the compiler that he gave you, I'm not 100% sure how you read an external file, but with Replit, you just go add file, you name it, benefits.txt, the file extension is important, and then you just copy in your information. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing now, but I'm going to do it for employees.txt. So go over here, hit add file, employees.txt, hit enter, go into it, and paste the information. So now both of our files are accessible by the program. So we're opening benefits.txt, and then we need to say, just keep reading the file benefits.txt until you hit the end. It's the exact same thing. Perfect. I didn't know that. I didn't like the look of the other compiler. It looked a bit weird. But knowing that it's the exact same, that means that you can use it for whatever one you use. For the record, if you're ever coding a line again, I would recommend using Replit. I abandoned code blocks in week 2 of my teaching, and I just use even my own C code whenever I'm coding in C myself. I use Replit rather than code blocks. So now we need to say keep going until you hit the end of the file. So the way we do that is that we say while, and we use a special command called feof, and then we tell it the name of the file. So feof fp. So feof is a command that will constantly check to see if we're at the end of the file fp. So within this while loop, it'll keep going and it'll execute the code in here, then go to the next line of the file, then execute the code, and then go to the next line of the file. And when it gets to the end of the file, this feof will return 0. The while loop will no longer be true, and it'll come out and go on to the rest of the code. So what we need to do in here is that we actually need to scan in all of our information. So much like how you would use scanf in order to scan in from the terminal, we're scanning in from a file. So it's fscanf. When you're using fscanf, the first thing you need to do is give a name of the file that you're scanning into. So it's called fp for us. It's not benefits.txt. We've made benefits.txt equal fp. So in here we say fp. Then we put in speech marks. And in here, much like a normal scanf, we just put in whatever variables we want to read in. So if we go up and we look at benefits.txt, here we go, yeah. So percentage sign, what letter am I putting after the percentage sign for the first bit of data here? What's the first bit of data I'm scanning in? Yeah. So it's a string. So I'm using percentage %s, and then it's going to, and there's a space between the string and the integer. So then I hit space because it's going to register a space. And then there we go. And then I scan in a integer, and then I hit space, and then scan it again. And then I scan another integer, and then again for another integer, and then again for another integer. So now I'm scanning in the PPS number, the salary, the pension percentage, the health percentage, and their overall allowance. And now I have to give it a list at the end of stuff to scan into. So I have the list already written here. So let me just grab that now. My names are a little bit different, so I have to change that now. We'll see. Control D. Right, so let's move this over. So again, I'm taking this from my old code, but I've actually changed the name, changed it a little bit. So find Ben. Benefits. So I'm using find and replace here just to how do I there. So now it'll replace all the benefits for me. So benefits.j.pps. I have this as capitals, so pps. So what it's going to do now is that it's going to take this. So when the code begins, it goes, okay, so first of all, go into this. I'm going to use this as the file because of that way I can have the code and the file open the same thing. So it's going to go into the file and it's going to read this. It's going to say, okay, that's a string. So read that, then go into the benefits array, which is up here. go into the J element of the benefits array, which is starts at 0. So it's going to go into benefits 0, and then access the PPS number of that element of the benefits array. So it starts off and it goes, okay, so I'm looking for a benefit variable. And I'm looking at the benefits array, then I'm looking at benefits 0 of that array, and then I'm looking at the PPS number of benefits 0. So it's kind of like a bit of a tree diagram where it goes benefits, benefits 0, sorry, it goes benefits, benefits array, benefits 0, benefits 0 dot PPS. So that's how it accesses each individual data type, and that's how it'll change each individual one. So I have this called salary, I have this called pension, I have this called health, and I have this one called allow. So now it's going to scan in each individual point, and why is this giving me grief here? Oh, because I just still have it called Sal. There we go. Okay, so now it's going to get to the end of the line. It's going to scan in all the information, and it's going to go on to the next line. But before it goes on to the next line, we want to say J++. So when it starts off, it's going to read into benefits 0. It's going to read in all this information. Then J is going to become 1. Then it's going to go back up to the top. Then it's going to say, okay, do that again, but now J is 1, so it's going to read into benefits 1, then benefits 2, then benefits 3, and so on and so forth until it gets to the end. So now we've read in all the information, so we're done, and we just need to close the file after we've read it in. So the way we close the file after we've read it in is by using this little bit of code here. So we use flush to flush all memory attributed to the file, and then we use fclose to close the file. So the code then asks us for a warning message saying that the data has been read in. So I'll do that after actually, because I'll read in all the data now for the employees.txt as well. So we need to read in the employees.txt information again. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm actually just going to copy this, paste it, and then change it. So I'm changing this to employees.txt, and I'm changing this to be a string, a string, a string, another string, an integer, an integer, and an integer. So name, surname, PPS number, nationality, age, marital status, and the amount of children they have. Then I'm just changing this. Actually, I can do this easier if I do this. So if I'm finding benefits, and then I'm replacing with employees. So I'm doing this fancy. I'm using the find and replace tool, but you don't have to use this. So now I'm just replacing all of those. Okay, then part of that, and I'm scanning in first of all employees. Flush, otherwise the data might not be written properly. If you didn't include flush, I actually have no. I think it works perfectly fine, even if you don't use it. I just use it because what does it do? It yeah, it flushes basically just a fancy way of clearing memory. You can get rid of it and it'll work the exact same way. I only put it in after the fact because I was reading some of the documentation. I'm like, that's kind of important. But if you haven't seen it before, I'll take it out. Probably for the best just to get rid of it if you haven't seen it before. Again, if you see any of this code, you're like, I don't like how he's doing that. I prefer doing it this way. Just change it. So the first thing we're going to read in is their name, and then we're going to read in their surname, surname, and then we're going to read in their PPS number. Yes. Then we're reading in their nationality, which I have called nation. Now we're reading in integers, so we need and symbols again, because remember, we only need and symbols when we're reading in integers, or sorry, when we're reading in individual characters. When we're scanning in strings, we don't need an and symbol. Yeah, flush is just like, it's just handy to be able to zoom in a bit. I can need. Move this over a little bit. So just like, where's the split? Oh, and zoom in on this. There we go. Perfect. So now I need to change one other thing. So actually, I need to add and employees dot marriage, I think I called it. Married. And then at at employees J dot married and at employees J dot what's the last one? It's children. So perfect. So now we're going to read in all of the employee information into the employee array. Now there's one problem with this code here. Can anyone see what I need to change about this? Saying F flush is like safely ejecting USB is actually a really good way of putting it. Like, you don't have to do it, but there's no harm. Well, what you're saying, what do I have to change about this? Yeah. So this is all using J, and I have to change this to be I. So I'm not going to bother using the replace tool. I'm just going to do it like this. I. So the reason we have to use I is that when this benefits code up here runs, it's going to go, okay, cool, we're done, and now J is 10. And then it's going to start off reading into employees 10 as opposed to employees 0. So that's why we have J for this one and I for this one. You could actually also make it like B and E, so that way it's easier to keep track of. But because I've done this 4 times for 4 different questions and I've used I or J, it's just like betting my brain to use I and J. But feel free to name these whatever you want. So that's 10 marks. So read the data from the files into structures. That's into an array of structures. That's 10 marks. Then he asks for a warning message to be displayed. So I'm just going to grab this warning message here that I have from my other code. Uh-oh. There we go. Warning. I'll just say data. Yeah, so this is just saying do not print. Now, this will be more relevant when I move on to do all this as an external function, and I'll do it with a switch case, which I'll be doing at the very end. So that's 15 marks. Well, let's see. It's a little bit under 15 marks because we're not actually saying that they can't read in any files. So he says that the program should not allow data to be read in again. Like, the program isn't allowing data to be read in again because it just doesn't use read mode again for the rest of the program the way I do it, but he specifically wants it so you have it as an option in the switch case, and once you run it once, you can't run it again. But right now, I'll just be doing it like this. So I'm kind of give this way. The way that I'm giving you, you might get like 75 or 80 marks for, maybe even less. But it's kind of a good understanding. And now I'm going to show, and then I'm going to show you how to move it into a switch case, and then from there, you'll be able to do it for multiple things. So for each employee, make sure they have pension and health contributions of 20% and 10% respectively. And for those employees who are older than 60, apply an allowance of 5 and increase their health by 7%. For all employees who are married, offer an additional 10% allowance, and for those who have children, add an extra 5% allowance for each child. So we get 10 marks for up until here, and then 15 marks for the rest. So the way we do this is that we just use a for loop. So we actually use a nested for loop for this. So the way that this works is that the only thing that attaches. So if we have a look at the 2 files again, let's scroll down. We need to go through every single employee and check their benefits, check their health. Sorry, check their health, their pension. No, sorry, check their pension, their health, and their allowance. So the only thing that connects these 2 bits of data is the PPS number. So we need to change this allowance if they're a certain age, or if they're married, or if they have a certain amount of kids. So what we need to do is that we need to use a nested for loop to connect these 2 bits of data together. So we need to go through each individual benefit, grab the PPS number, check to see whether or not this is 20 and this is 10. If it is, then take this PPS number, go through every single employee, find the match, then check to see if the matched employee is over a certain age, if they're married, and if they have kids. And if they are any of these things, change this last number here. So the first thing we do is we find a benefits listing, then find the employee that matches that PPS number, then change their allowance based off of this information here, then go on to the next one. Now, you might notice how this and this are the exact same, and how this and this are the exact same. So we shouldn't have to use a nested for loop. We can just use one for loop and go to benefits I and benefits like K and employees K at the same time because they're in the same order up until the very end, because the last 2 here are not the same as the last 2 here. The 10th benefit is the 9th employee, and the 9th benefit is the 10th employee. So that's why you have to use a nested for loop, because at the very, very end, they're going to get a bit confused. So you need to make sure that they don't get confused. And the way we do that is by initializing a for loop. So I'll start off just with this here. So if I go here, I'm just going to say part 2. So here is our benefits. Oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have named these differently because this is going to get annoying, but yeah, it's fine. So I'm actually going to use find and replace again. Yeah, because I'm lazy. And replace it with. What am I doing? There's only. Oh, what am I doing? I only have to do this once. Can I change it back? Losing my mind. All right, benefits. Stop. Pension, and then benefits dot health and benefits dot. Grand. So what this bit of code here does is that it just makes sure that if you look at the first bit, it says make sure they have a pension of 20 and a health of 10. So that's just making sure that they are, and if they're not, it'll update them. So next we have to take. So what this bit of code here, if I just stopped it here, right? If I just had just that, right? Just this for loop, it would go through every single benefits line. So it would go to this, sorry, it would go to this line, then this line, then this line, then this line, and then just check these two numbers. That's all it would do. But what we need to do is that we need to go to this line, check these two numbers, then take the PPS number, compare it against every single employee's PPS number until we get a match. Once we get a match, then check that employee's age, marital status, and amount of children, and change this line's allowance respectively. So in order to do that, we need what's called a nested for loop. So we have a for loop inside of a for loop. So we're going to go through every single benefits plan, and now inside of this for loop, we're going to go through every single employee. So in order to, so we're going to go through every single employee, and we're going to compare each employee's PPS number with the current PPS number. So what do we use to compare two strings? So what's the name of the command we use to compare two strings? Yeah, string compare. So strcmp. So this bit of code here will compare two strings that are in between. So it's one string goes here, one string goes here. Then they'll compare the two of them and return a numerical value based off of how they compare. If one is longer than the other, it'll return a positive number. If the other one is longer than the first one, it'll return a negative number. And if they're equal, it'll return a 0. So in order to do that, we just need to say so what we're comparing is the current benefit, which is benefits k dot PPS. We're comparing the current benefits PPS number with the give me a sec. There we go. With the we're comparing the current benefits number with every employee number. So we do that by saying employee dot L dot PPS. So if they're equal, it'll return a 0. And we want to have all of this inside an if statement because we want to do something if they're equal. Why isn't this right? I'll call employees. There we go. So it'll go in, it'll start off with this first line, then do all of this, then take the first line's PPS number, then go through all of these until it finds a match, and then do something. So once it finds a match, it'll do whatever is in between this new set of curly brackets. So within this set of curly brackets, we want to perform a certain amount of checks. We want to check to see if the current employee, which we label as employees.l.age, because we want to check, .l. Can everyone get why I'm using K here and L here? So in here, this benefit will never change for as long as this for loop is going, but the employee will change for every time the for loop changes. So we want to go through one benefit, do a for loop. Next benefit, do a for loop. Next benefit, do a for loop. So it'll kind of like, it's got to going, this one, run a bit of code. This one, run a bit of code. This one, run a bit of code. So you have like 2 iterations of code going at the same time. And the second iteration is being done for every bit of data from the first iteration. So it's doing one thing, it's doing 10 things for the first one, 10 things for the second one, 10 things for the third one, so on and so forth until it gets to the end. So it's kind of like, have you ever seen like a sci-fi movie where it'll be like file, then a bunch of lines will come down, the next file, and a bunch of lines will come down. It's that. It's going through each individual benefit line and changing their information accordingly based off of the employee's personal data. So if their age is, I believe, over 60, over 60, oh, what did I do? Over 60, we have to change their allowance and we have to change their health. So their allowance and their health are stored up here. So the way that we access this employee's health and benefits is by going back to benefits, K dot health. Sorry, no, I'll do health first. Dot health is equal to benefits K dot health plus, I believe it's 7. So yeah, if they're over 60, we increase their health cost by 7. So the new value of benefits.health is equal to the old value of benefits.health plus 7. And the new value of benefits K dot allowance is equal to the old value of benefits K dot allowance plus 5. So the health goes up by 7 and their allowance goes up by 5. So now it'll go in and it'll change. It'll take this line, check these two numbers, then take this, compare with the rest of them. When it finds a match, check this age number, then go back up, change these two based off of that, then go back down, check this number, then go back up and then change this again, and then check this number, and then check this again. So it's just an increase of 7%, though, not just 7. Oh, yeah, it's by a percentage. Oh, these are expressed as percentages. So this 20 is 20%, and this 10 is 10%. So the reason, don't you multiply the odd value by 7%? Now that's the new value of health to make the new. So these all, so if you go up here and check this, so the values of pension, health, or allowance, respectively, are indicating percentages as positive integers. So this 20 isn't 20, it's 20%. So if this is 20, this is saying that 20% of their salary is going towards their pension, and 10% of their salary is going towards their health, and 0% of their salary is their allowance. I don't know what that means, but it's just some made up term for the question, I think. But by increasing it by 7, we're now saying that by increasing this by 7, we're saying that 17% of their salary goes towards their health insurance and 5% of their salary goes towards their allowance. So these here, despite being whole numbers, are representing percentages. Then we will be doing some math later on to do with these percentages, and we have to convert them back into actual percentages because we have to take their salary and take these payments away. So the last bit of code is to take 37,500, then take away their pension costs, take away their health costs, and then add back on the allowances. And in there, we have to convert them back into percentages for the sake of that calculation. However, we can't change these to percentages because we cannot change the data that's in the file. So you could have a bit of code up here at the top that as soon as it reads it in, changes it to percentage, but I don't think he wants you to change these values to percentages. I think he wants you to express them as percentages inside the maths by just dividing them by 100. So that's done now. So we'll go on to check to see if he's married. So we're starting with Jimmy O'Brien. So if employees, I'm just going to steal this. So if they're married, so if married is equal to 1, what do they get if they're married? Their allowance goes up by 10%. So I'll just take this, take it back in here, and write that 10. So now if they're over 60 and married, their allowance will be 15%. It should be uploaded on YouTube. Yeah. If I say should be, of course it will. I just have to remember. Then we'll check to see how many kids they have. So we'll be doing that by doing the exact same thing. So we'll be taking this and pasting it again, changing this to children. and saying if the amount of children that they have is over 0, therefore, if they have kids, their allowance goes up by the amount of children they have multiplied by 5. So 5% per child. Did I not call it children? I did. Why isn't it letting me multiply it by 5? Why is it giving me... Anyone know why it's giving me an error there? Oh, because the amount of children is stored in employees, not benefits. So now it's going to take this number, it's going to multiply that by 5, and then add the result on to this number. Okay, cool. So that's now all of question 2 done. So if you have all this done, you have 35. Then if you comment, you'll have 40 and you passed. So if you get all this, technically you've passed. So after this, it's just getting those extra marks because you don't just want to pass, you want to do well. So now what we have to do is ask for a PPS number. Search for, I think he says customer, but I think it means employee. So search for that employee in the data structure, and if found, allow its nationality. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's pretty cookie cutter, kind of like do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, and you're done. The hard stuff comes when you're doing the switch case and external functions. That's actually quite hard. I'm like in the back of my head, I'm like theory crafting how to do it. So what we have to do now is we have to take a PPS number, then access that employee, then allow their nationality, age, marital status, and number of children to be changed. Then change their health, pension, and allowance according to the new data, and print a message if the name is not found. So if they, what we need to do now is that we need to go here and we need to ask them to input a PPS number. So the way we do that is we say, there we go. So I have this int test here. This int test is just acting as a check variable. I'll be using it now in a minute, so you can ignore this for now. But we have character choice 20, and we say, please enter a PPS number you'd like to search for, and then we scan their choice into choice. Then we run another, what's the pass? It's 40%. Pass for all modules is 40%. It's actually technically 35% if you get 35% in up to 10 credits worth of modules. So, but once you get below 35% in over 10 credits worth of modules, or if you get below 35% at all, if you get between 35 and 40 in 10 credits worth of modules, you still pass. You don't have to repeat. But the minute you go below 35 in anything, you have to repeat. The repeats are in August. It's the exact same method of paper. And if you fail that repeat, you have to repeat the year and repeat just that module, which sucks. I've seen it happen to a few people. It's not great. But I mean, sometimes the exams are just hard, and sometimes you just have a bad day at the office, as it's called. So don't worry about it. You should be fine. Based off the notes that Gabriel has given you and the amount of work that you put into the assignments, you all should be fine. Yeah, this module does have a repeat aspect. You can check the if you're ever wondering if it has a repeat aspect, you can check the DCU past papers documents archive and put a module number. So if I put in like EM108, I don't know if you changed it for this year, but see here we have semester 2, then the resit, and then we have semester 2, then the resit. So if a module has a resit paper, there's a good chance that it has a reset element. Just double check to see if the module has been changed since then. I don't think it has. So now we take in a PPS number. What we then need to do is to set up another for loop. So you also notice that I'm initializing the variable for each of my for loops inside the for loop. So I don't have k initialized up here. I'm initializing it in each for loop. So that way you can use k multiple times and not worry about it getting weird. So inside this for loop, we want to compare every single employee with the entered PPS number. So let me just actually take this. I'll put that there. And here we're using, okay. So what we want to do is that we want to, so we now want to compare the option that they've given us with every single employee. Then we want to ask them to enter a new nationality, a new age, a new marital status, and a new number of children. The way we do that is just by taking all of this, taking it in, and I'm just going to change some of the stuff here. So I'm just going to shift tab that over. And this is employees. I had my old version of it. I had some different kind of syntax on it. So I'm just changing it to work with the new syntax I'm using because I think the new syntax is a little bit easier to follow. Married and then employees dot children. So now it'll scan in a new nationality, a new age, a new marital status, and a new number of children. Then this test variable is going to come into play. So I'm going to say test is equal to 1, and then it'll go out of the if statement. Then after that if statement, so now after that for loop, so here, oh no, we want to say if the test is equal, so the test starts off as 0. So the test is originally failed. It'll always start off as being failed. But if there ever is a success and we ever do have a match for the PPS number that they've inputted, the test becomes 1, which means the test has been passed. So this test is equal to 0 will only happen if the PPS number is not found. So if I enter like banana for the PPS number, you're not going to have that as a PPS number. So it'll just say PPS number not found and then move on. We'll be going on when we move on to the external functions in the switch case. We'll be looking at how to do that, how to continuously ask for a PPS number until they succeed. But I'll be doing that at the very end. So now, this is really why you want to be using an external function for this, because the next bit says update the employee health, pension, and allowance according to the new inputted data. So we have to do all of this again. Sorry, I lie. We have to do all of this again. So the way we do all of this again within int main is that we just copy paste it and then do it again. But the problem with that is that it looks really, really, and also just when we're doing it again, we don't want to update the pension and the health because it'll overwrite any of the changes that we've already made. So we just wanted to go through each individual benefit and then each employee and then check their age again, check the marital status again, and check the amount of children they have again. So this is unwieldy and a bit messy and it doesn't look great. But this is a way of doing it without using external functions. So this is the way that we're doing it now for the minute. Now, if this were an external function, all you would have to write here is the name of the external function and it would do it for you. So that's what we'll be doing now later on. The final bit of code here, so not the final bit of code, the second last bit of code here is ask the user to input a letter and print on the screen the list of employees whose names start with that letter. Excuse me. So we now asked them for a letter. So we do that by saying the following. So we have a new car called choice 2. So that's just a character. We're only using a character. Then we say enter a character, enter in a letter you want to search for. So you'll see here we have space %C. That's really important because when I was testing this, it was detecting some space as the character and it wasn't working. So this will skip over. I think it was detecting like a space that came after this as the character scan for some reason. It was detecting some weird bit in memory. So just by putting a space here, we're able to scan using this. There's another way of doing it, but this is kind of the more simple way of doing it. Then we just print our headings. So we're printing employee information here. So our headings are a name, surname, nationality, age, whether or not they're married, and the number of kids. So we're just printing that. So that way it'll be at the top. And now we're using a for loop. So we're going to use this for loop here. And we're going to go, oh yeah, this is using all old syntax. So let me change this. I'm going to have to change this a lot. So now we're using this for loop to go through every single employee and check. Let me just might be going to use. Oh no, stay on page. Control F. And I'm going to say MK. Replace it with employee. Okay. Okay, and now just need to change some of these. So this is PPS all caps. This is nation. That's married, and that's children. So what we're doing is that we're saying if the character that they've inputted, which is choice 2, is equal to the current employee's name, sorry, the first letter of the current employee's name. So if we go back up here, name is an array. So we can access the individual elements of that array just like we can any other array. So we come down here and we say, oh, failed to connect. So I'm just going to copy that just as a that's all. So what it's going to do is it's going to compare this choice character with the first letter of every single employee, and it's going to only print the information for that employee if these match. Realize I'm not using string compare because I only have one letter. So because I'm only scanning in a single character, we cannot use string compare. We're just using normal old logical math here by using 2 equal signs instead. So then when I run it, I'll put in the character and it will scan in that character and then take it and compare it against every employee to see if there's any matching data. The last bit here is read a file name for the keyboard and write a read a file name for the keyboard and write in a file with that name all the employee information with a new variable type called net paid. So what we do need to do is we need to go all the way back up to the top and we need to add a brand new float net paid. So I'm using it as a float because net paid is influenced by the amount of allowance, the amount of pension, and the amount of health. So I'm just storing it as a float just in case because there's a small chance because if you see here, if we go back up, sorry, you'll see that the health cost was altered by 7%. That makes me feel like there could be some decimal places involved. So that's why I'm saving it as a float. So then we go back down and after our character scan, we're going to start the bit for the file name. So what we're going to do is I have all of this here. So we're going to ask them for a file name. So Control C. So we're going to ask them for a file name. We're going to scan that into choice. You'll realize that I'm actually using the same string that I used up here to save on memory. So I'm not using a second string. I'm reusing it down here. Then I'm going to open a file with that name in write mode. So it's going to open up a file in write mode to be written into. Then I'm going to use a for loop. Yeah, so I'm going to use another nested for loop here. So the reason why I have to use a nested for loop here is that, oh, this is all over the place. The reason why I have to use a nested for loop is because we want to check the employees database as well as the benefits database, because in order to calculate net paid, we need information from both, because net paid is affected by the amount of children, by the net paid is a employee array element. So because net paid is stored in the employees structure, but all the information about how much they're paying, that being their salary, as well as their health allowance, their health benefits, their pension benefits, and their allowance is all stored inside benefits. So we need two data sets because we need to take specific data from each set, and that's what we're doing here. So pension and then benefits, almost done, salary, and then benefits dot allow grant. So each employee will have a brand new variable type called net paid, and that net paid variable is equal to that employee's salary, which is stored inside the benefits array, and we need to use a nested for loop. So that way we go through and we just grab both PPS numbers, and when there's a match, we change this employee's net paid, which is over here. We change it based off of their salary and all this information here, which will be changed inside the data arrays when we run the rest of the code. So net paid is equal to their salary minus their salary multiplied by their health health allowance divided by 100. So this is us converting them back into percentages by dividing them by 100. So it's their salary minus their salary multiplied by a percentage equal to their health payments minus their salary multiplied by a percentage of their pension payments plus their salary multiplied by a percentage of their allowances. So if we take this first guy here, it'll take his health benefits, divide that by 100 to get 0.1, multiply his salary by 0.1 to get 375, and reduce his overall salary, which is 37,500, by 375. Then we'll do the same thing for the pension, which is this 20, and then we'll do the same thing for the allowance, which is this 0. But you see, when we start the program, these are all the exact same, but this code up here is what changes them. So we'll be using this code up here to change them inside the arrays, and then we'll be doing the maths down here. Then we need to print all of this information to not only the screen, but also to the file. So if you remember, we had a scan statement into choice up at the top there. That scan statement, specifically this one here, will open the file, and now this bit of code here will write into that file. So this is where it gets a bit weird. So just give me a sec. I'm just gonna again Control F and just replace them all and call it EPS, nation, married, children, and net paid, and then EPS, nation, married, children, and net paid. So now what it'll do is it'll update the information here for net paid, and then it'll use this for loop here. Oh, oopsie. I did that again. And then I'll just shift tab all this back over. So it's going to print all of the information first to the, actually, I'm just going to print a heading. So if I actually go here, I'm going to take this as well. And before I do anything, I'm just going to print our heading. And now it's going to go through all of the employee array. And it's going to print every single bit of information. And then it's going to use fprintf to print that same information into the file, which will be created when we run this bit of code here. So if I actually run this, so I'm going in a bit blind here. So let's just hope to God that it actually works. I see no reason why it wouldn't. Let's go back up to the top and run it. Right, so the data has been read in, so that's just done automatically. So now we're on, and all of these calculations were done automatically as well. So now we're down to here. So let's enter a PPS number. So I'm going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 D, which is the PPS number of Jimmy O'Brien. Then it's going to ask me to enter nationality. I'm going to say he's English instead of Irish. Then I'm going to give him a new age. I'm going to say he's 41. I'm going to say he's no longer married. And I'm going to say he has 4 kids. It's been a hell of a year for Jimmy. I don't know what happened. Then I'm going to enter in a letter I want to search for. So what it's done now is it's taken these four new bits of information, updated his entry inside the array, then used the new information inside the array to recalculate his allowance and just to recalculate his allowance and recalculate his health payments. So now if I hit J, it'll print Jimmy with the brand new information. So if we go up here, right, when we started, Jimmy O'Brien was 40, he was married, and he had 2 kids. But now you'll see he's 41, he's no longer married, and he has 4 kids. He's also no longer Irish, he's English. And if I enter in a new file name, we'll see the if I were to actually print the benefits, you could see the changes that have been made to the benefits array, but we don't actually need to print them. So then we're going to enter a file name. I'm just going to call it test. You'll see it open the brand new file named test. Then it prints all the information about all of our employees to the terminal, and then it prints all of that information into test as well in the exact same fashion. So that is, real quick, just the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down here, and when we're printing our heading here, I'm also going to print that into FP by using F. So also, you're just going to want to delete that every time before you run the code, so that way you don't end up with a bunch of files. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Sorry. Also, yeah, let's just say I enter like banana. Let's say PPS number not found, and if I enter like 8, it won't print any information. And then I say that, it'll still print everything. So there was no PPS number called banana, and there was no employee whose name began with the number 8. So no changes were made, and now this is all the information here for the employees saved inside of this test file and printed to the terminal along with our brand new heading up here. So that's the easy version. This bit isn't perfect. This version isn't perfect. It does not use external functions. It does it does not use external functions. It does not use pointers. It does not use a menu. So you're going to lose a fair bit of marks there by not having any of that involved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do all of this by using external functions and pointers. So if I go to my 2018 paper external functions, and let's bring this over here. Move this over here. How many marks would that record? If I were correcting this, I'd give this like, if I actually got to the paper real quick, I lost the paper. There it is. If I go to the paper, you'll see that, excuse me, removing the option to read in the data wasn't there, but the warning message was. So I'll give you like 3 marks for that. So you probably got like 12 or 13 for this. This is perfect. You'll get full mark for this. This is perfect. This is perfect. And this is perfect. But you're not using 3 functions. You don't have a menu. And I don't have any comments. But let's say you did add comments. You'd only be missing out on like 14, 15 marks max. Like theoretically speaking, that's all you'd be missing out on. And then you have to write your report as well. So that's worth 10 marks. So you'd only be missing out on like 15 marks max. So what I'm showing you now is like if you want to get like if you really want it. To me, the function makes things easier. Yeah, I personally think that if you can get your head wrapped around external functions, you should use them as much as you can because it just makes it so much easier to read. Like int main, like if I look at this, int main is 171 lines long. Actually, I didn't even say return 0 at the end. So let me just go grab that. So yeah, using external functions just makes everything a little bit neater and easier to follow. Int main goes from being 171 lines to being like 30, if even like 10 maybe. So also it means that if you have an issue, you can comment out each external function one by one, and you can narrow down where the issue is, and then go inside the external function and see what's going on there. So in order to do this with external functions, the first thing we need to do is set up a pointer for both of our arrays. So I'm not gonna. All right, see you, Roman. So I'm gonna try and do as much of this as I can. However, so how comfortable are y'all with pointers? Like as a whole, pointers in general. How are y'all with them? Let's check for messages in the chat now in a sec. Yeah, the pointers are very, very hard. Like if you what's a pointer? A pointer is a special kind of variable. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but I'll answer anyway. A pointer is a special kind of variable that is used by an external function. Sorry. Pointer is a special kind of variable that is given to an external function that allows the external function to interpret where an array begins. So what a pointer does when it's pointed towards an array is that it stores the location of the start of the array inside the pointer. So if I create a pointer, if I have an integer array called marks, right, and I set up a pointer called pointer m, and I make pointer m equal to marks, pointer m is storing the location of the beginning of the marks array. Then I can give the location of the beginning of the marks array and the size of the marks array to an external function. And from those, the external function can interpret that data and recreate the array inside of itself. So that way it can use the external function inside, it can use the array inside the external function. Yeah, basically it's kind of like the counter used for a for loop that tracks how far going through it is. Not really. It's like let's say if I have an array, right? And I put it into memory, and it starts off on 1000. Let's say the elements of the array are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And I put the array on into memory, and it starts at location 1000. Then I set up a pointer, and I make the pointer equal to the array. The pointer will become equal to 1000, and we know that there's 5 numbers in it. So then I can go to an external function, and I'm like, okay, start at 1,000 and you have 5 things to look at. So start from here and go for 5 things. Stop. From there, the external function contains all the information of the array, because once you know where to start and where to finish, you know what is in each individual location. So the external function will go to 1,000 and be like, oh, cool. I'm going to start here. Oh, there's something here. Use that. Okay, go to the next one. Oh, there's something there. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Oh, I'm at the end. Go back to int main. So it's kind of a way for external. It is the method by which external functions look at data that is established within int main and use data as a whole. Yeah, C# and Python do this easy money. They do it for you. C does it a little bit harder. Like Python, there is no really such thing as, at least in my own experience, like Python for me, when I used it, didn't have pointers. Just everything was everywhere all the time because global variables didn't suck and global variables were super like commonplace and used a lot. Yeah, Khan Academy. So yeah, Khan Academy is great for Python. It's not that great for C, I don't think, but for Python, it's really good. If you're looking at, if you're doing ECE, you have some free time over the summer, I would look at Python. But anyway, I'm going to start with this here. So we have our 2 arrays. So the first thing we need to do is establish a pointer for the arrays. So a pointer for an array always is the same type as the array. So if I have an integer array, I have to make an integer pointer. If I have a benefits underscore type array, which you can see here, this is the data type, and this is the array name, I have to create a benefits underscore type pointer. So that's benefits underscore type asterisk. Then I have to give it a name. So I'm going to call it PTR underscore B. Then I have to do the exact same thing, but for employees. So employees underscore type PTR E. Then I'm going to say PTR underscore B is equal to benefits. And I'm going to say PTR underscore E is equal to, is equal to employees. So what these have done in theory is that now PTR underscore E is equal to the location of the first element of the employees array. So PTRE is now equal to wherever the hell that this starts. So we can give that to an external function and it can interpret that in its own manner and use it as it sees fit. So let's turn some of these into external functions. So the reading data, we want to turn that into an external function. So everything up until, so yeah, all of this is our initialization. So let's call it like read underscore data, right? In order for it to read the data, it needs the arrays. So I'm trying to think of how to do this. I'm actually, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish these inside of int main as well. So in order to read, so these here, right? These lines here, the 4 things that this code uses, the amount of people even once they got the external functions. The 4 things that these use are the 2 size arrays, sorry, the 2 size variables and the 2 arrays. So if you want to give those to an external function, first of all, we give the pointer towards the benefit array, and then the size of the benefit array, which is j. Then we give the pointer towards the employee array, and then the size of the employee array, which is I. Then I go up here and I start doing it. So void, because I'm not returning anything, void read underscore data. And in here, I take in the pointers and I use them to recreate just these again. So I use this to recreate an array called benefits. And I have a new integer called int size1. So now I is equal to size1. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing here. I'm going to take in pointer E and use that to reestablish a brand new array called employees. And then have a new integer called size2. So now, literally, what it's like, so I get that was pretty confusing, right? Oh, actually, do I need to give the pointer in for FP as well? No, I can form that in here. So I'm actually just going to take that. And I'm going to take all of this. Oh, oh no, I hold on. I don't need to name the. I can name these what they actually are. So I can say int j, and I can say int I. Um, yeah. So that's it. That's an external function now. That's done. So like once you understand kind of the basis of uh part one, once you understand the basis of pointers and like and like passing in the very like if I run this, oh no, it broke. Oh yeah, because I need to reestablish them in here. So file asterisk FP. Yeah, see? Oh no, I need to return them. Do I need to return the size arrays? I think I do. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I need to return the size arrays. So I this I and J, these aren't given back after I'm done, you see, because it's not printing anything because I and J are 0. So when I go down here and I try to print oh it's not printing anything. Well if I hit this and I go yeah, PPS someone not found, that's fine. Oh, it's not printing anything. Is it not reading it in properly? Hold on, I have my other code that I know it works with here. Give me a sec. Um, oh, I actually have it being read in inside int main, not being read in elsewhere. So no, I'm trying to find out why that isn't working or why it's not right inside int main. Um, maybe if I establish these globally, no, that should work. I don't know. I don't know why it's not working exactly. Let me have a look here. So, f close fp scanf. So is there any particular reason why this would not work? Um, okay, it's going in here. So if I actually just real quick try and print f percentage s employees, let's say like two dot surname. I'm just printing a random element of the array just to see if it works. I know. Yeah. So it is reading it in. See, because it's printing it here. So it is reading in the data, but it's just not giving it back to int main all that well. So I'm trying to find out why it's not giving it back to int main. Um, oh, yeah, okay. Anyone have any ideas? Tell you what I'll do. I'll scrap that because in my other code that I have here that has a bunch of external functions, reading in the data is the only thing that's actually done inside int main because I think I tried to do it outside of int main beforehand and it didn't work all that well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give that back. Yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of this, right? I'm gonna get rid of this. And now we need to make our menu. So we need to establish our menu. So we'll do that first. So printf welcome to the program. Please choose an option. Then we ask them to scan in an option. So just up here, I'm gonna say option, and then I'm going to say scanf percentage d option. So now our options being saved. So why is that not? Oh, and symbol option, tilde, backslash in there. Then set up a switch case. So switch option case one. Is that right? I haven't done a switch case in a while. Is that the correct layout?
Pretty sure it is.
Do we need curly brackets, or can I just go case two? Yeah, break after everyone. Oh, actually, no, yeah. So I'm not gonna break after everyone. After everyone, I'm actually gonna call back on main. So by doing this, it'll go, okay, pick this, cool. Go back up to the top, pick another option, go back up to the top and do another option. So this is how we make it so it doesn't allow you to choose the same thing twice. Because I'm also going to have one in here called error. I'm going to make, once it's scanned in, I'm going to make error equal to 1. And then if, and then up here at the top, I'm going to say, if error is equal to 1, printf data cannot be read in twice, then call back on main again. So what this will do is that it'll allow us to read in the data. Error is 0. So allow us to read in the data, then read it all in, say that do not read in any other files, make error equal to 1, then go back up to the top, then go back to here, ask us for another choice. If we choose 1 again, it'll go, don't read it in twice, it'll go back up to the top and ask us for another option again. So, yeah, so now this is what I'm doing instead of having breaks. So now inside of each of these, so for case 2, I just have all of this. So this is our second question. And then down here, I'm just gonna have main again. Then why is this? See here, it's giving me an error. For this one, it's giving me an error. I'm not sure why. Case 3. Inside of case 3, we're just gonna have all of this. Can anyone tell me why it's giving me errors in each of my cases? Can you see that? I know there's a shitload of errors, but I'm just going to check to see case statement not within the switch statement. Oh, where does this stop? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, okay. So I need to do that's for. There we go. Okay, it was picking up an accidental. Why is it saying that there's an error? Because it's a character array. Do I not have that? Anyway, moving on. Then I have a established here. I don't know why it's not letting me scan it in. So expected expression are I'm saying that there's something wrong with this one here. It just says expected expression and then doesn't say anything. Do I need curly brackets out of switch case? I actually can't remember. Oh, you're swapping courses, are you? Or good luck. Um, no need for the no need for the curly brackets. No, I don't see. That's the thing. Yeah, I believe so, right? Like it's working fine here, but then like on these ones, it just refuses to work. You see, like it's giving me errors here saying that these are wrong. But sure, we'll move on to the next part. Um, yeah. So case 3 goes all the way down to here, and then we have case 4. Um, initialize the variables outside the switch statement. That's probably it. Yep. So again, a reason to okay. So that's all case 4. And now that is case 5 is all of this. So this calculates net paid and prints everything. Okay, and then case 6. You can see how long this code is getting now without using our external functions. Case 6 is exit. After each of these also, we need to call back on main. So main, and main. Paste this up here. I'm also going to paste choice 1. Delete that. Oh, choice 1 has a length. So choice, this is a length of 20. Yes, I got away. Yeah, perfect. So I just need, I need to initialize this up here as well. So yeah, I can initialize variables inside the switch case. That's I didn't know that. More you know. That's equal to 0. Is there any other errors it's giving me? So get rid of this. So this should work if I run this. Clear the console, run it. Expected, line 195. Perfect. Yeah, cool. I just have to close off the switch statement. So now if I tap it in, that's all of it main. So yeah, the whole thing is now inside a switch case. So it says, welcome to the program. Please choose an option. So option 1 will read in all the data. Then if I choose option 1 again, it'll say data has been read in. Oh, that doesn't work. It called on main. Oh, when it calls on main, it reestablishes error is 0. Um, hmm. Because it reinitializes error. Put the switch in a loop instead of calling main. Yeah, that'd be the main way to do it. Yeah, you're 100% right. That'd be the easier way to do it. So get rid of all my main calls. Main is like doing it like this is the fancy way of doing it. So if I get rid of main in every single one of these, I'll put the whole thing in a big while loop and make it go for as long as while is not 1. And then make it equal 1 at the very, very end. So I'll say error, not error, finish is equal to 1. And then up here, establish finish. So I'll say all of this is now within a while loop. So I'll say that this is in a while loop. While finish is equal to 0. And then up here, establish finish as 0. Up here, initialize error is 0. Don't need a semicolon there. Now it'll keep doing this as long as it's equal to 0. So as long as finish is equal to 0, and then at the very, very end, I'll make finish no longer equal to 0, and I'll finish the program. So this should be in by 1, and all of this needs to be tabbed in by 1 just to fall inside the while loop correctly. So just like a while. There's a bit of a lag on that one. So now if I run it again, I say please choose an option. Oh, because I don't have main now, I need to put the brakes back in. So brake, 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 and we don't need a brake on the last one because it'll be the end of the program. Okay, so it just read in the data. Then if I try to read in the data again, it says data cannot be read in twice. So that's the 5 marks that we lost in question 1. Now if I say 2, it won't do anything because it's not actually printing anything to the screen. So 2 will calculate all the allowances and everything. Then if I say 3 will let us enter a PPS number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D. That is a PPS number. Why was that not found? Oh no. Um, hmm. So now it's not reading in the files correctly, I don't think. Let me try 3 one more time. I'll try different benefits numbers. So 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. F. Okay, it's not scanning in any of the PPS numbers. So inside of here, we want FP is equal to open benefits.txt in read mode. Then it'll scan in everything. Then it'll close FP. Then it'll open it again. It'll open employees.txt. Then it'll scan in everything. It's doing all of this because it's getting to the end and printing warning data has been read in. So by going back up to the top of the while loop, is it resetting itself? I don't think it is. Anyone have any ideas? Like if I go down here and I print, if I say up here like this as a test, printf percentage s employees to dot surname, just as a test. And if I run it and say 1, it won't print anything. If I say 1 again, it'll print Hanaho. So it is reading it in. Because every time I do this, it'll say Hanaho. But it's doing it every second time. It doesn't work. Oh, I know what. Okay, there we go. So now if I say 3, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D. Now let me do it. Okay, it was every time I was hitting 1 again, it reset everything. So now if I get rid of this unwieldy print statements. So now we have the full 15 marks of question 1 because all of the reading can only happen once, and I'll print a warning message when it's finished. That's question 1 done. Now we just need to fit everything into our external functions. So inside case 2, so for a second question, if we actually look with it, we're calculating contributions. So I'm going to call it contribution, and I'm going to use PTR underscore B, and I'm going to use J, I'm going to use PTR underscore E, and I'm going to use I. So that's my external functions I'm using. That's my data points I'm using. Then if I go up here, I say void contribution. Why do I have it in contribution? Then in here, I say benefits underscore type benefits brand new array, say int, then say int size 1, then say employees underscore type employees, and then say int. I'm actually going to say I and J because I don't think I need to give them different names. Then have our square brackets, have our curly brackets. Then I'm going to go down to case 2, and I'm going to take all of this and put it in here. See if there's any errors. No problem at all. I'll have this up to YouTube as soon as I can, and hopefully everything works. So then if I pull this back, I've got shift tab. Okay. So now this is our test. If I run this, I'll read in the data. Okay. Then it won't let me read in the data again. Now, if I hit 2, it'll run contributions. So now let's run all of this code. So now if I go to if I go to which one? I want to print information. So if I want to print information about them, I need to go to case 4. And then enter in the letter I want to search for. I want to search for J. So it's printing. Okay. So then if I say 5, no, actually, so I know contribution works. So I know my external functions thing here works. So I can do the exact same thing again by using a new external function here. This one is allowing me to update, so I'm going to call it update. And this is only using ptr_e and I. This is only using the employee array. So I can go up here and I can say void update. And I'm not going to type it in twice. I'm just going to steal this, copy it, paste it inside these, then hit in here, then go all the way down here. And this is where I'm going to be asking for their input here. I will, however, need to go in here and paste this. And I need to establish a character array called choice. And I need to establish my integer called test and make it equal to 0. Okay, cool. Now, like I was saying, we can use in here, we could call on contributions. We could just call on contributions and have it so let me just. So I could just say here contributions, and it would do the update for me because as we have to update everything again. However, if we update everything again, it'll reset our benefits and health amounts. Which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, doesn't matter because it'll re-update them again for us. So that's fine. So I can actually go down here. I can get rid of this big long bit of code. And if I want to update the contributions, I literally just need to copy that and paste contributions. And it'll update my contributions for me. Then I need to do it one last time. So here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to call it search. So for this one, we're only using the employees array again. So I can take that. I can go up here. I can copy the top line of this. Come down here. Call it search. Inside of this, take all of this code here, put it. Then just shift tab everything back over. And establish a character array called choice2. Why is this not working now? Oh, because it's not character array, it's just character. And because I'm establishing them inside the individual external functions, I don't need them here. Then, so that's case 3. Case 4 is search. Case 5 is us writing into our file. So I'm going to call that file. So file, if you have a look at file, it uses both employees and benefits. So I'm going to be stealing the argument line from contributions. Then I'm going to go up here, and again, it uses all of this. So I'm just going to go up here and steal the argument line from contributions and change it. So actually, what I'm doing now, you don't even need to do because you actually only need 4 functions. But I'm going to do it for this one as well. What did I call it? I called it file. I'm going to be doing it for the last one as well, just for posterity's sake. But you actually only need it for 3, so we don't even need to do it for this last one. So I'm going to call it file. Then I'm going to take all of this, and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to paste it up here, and we'll just check here. So what I need is my file pointer, and I need my string called choice. So I'm just going to shift tab everything here back over, and then establish my file pointer, and establish my character array called choice. This is now using 3 external functions and using a menu system. So the last thing I'm going to do real quick is just printf a menu. So I'm actually only going to print that once. So I'm only going to print that up at the top. So printf 1 is read \n. 2 is contributions. 3 was what was 3? 3 was update. Update info \n. 4 was search for letter \n. 5 was print to file \n, and then 6 is quit. Oh my god, for all that semicolon there at the end. All right. So it's a bit scuffed, but if I just bring that can be there, that can be there, that can be there, that can be there. But why are they still there? Up here. Yeah, cool. So these are all of our options. So read, and I can't read twice. So that's the full 15 marks. Then it'll update our contributions. Then if I want to update the info, let's say I want to update the info for Jimmy O'Brien, I can enter a new nationality. Let's say he's English. Let's say he's 41. Let's say he's now divorced. Let's say he has 4 kids now. Then we're going to search for a letter. So we're going to print all the information on Jimmy O'Brien. You can see that all of his information has been updated with the information that we've entered here. Then I'll ask it for another choice. So I'm going to say print a file. I'm going to name the file test. Then I'm going to print all the information to the file, which you can see not there. Why didn't you work? What? Hold up. Printed it to that fine. It didn't print it to the file. Huh. Why didn't it print it to the file? Anyone have any ideas? I actually didn't. I didn't. Or
Did you put the F printf?
I did put print that, but I didn't close the file. But that shouldn't matter. But this is the proof. This is the proof to see whether or not this actually does anything. Stop. Run. Read. Update contributions. I don't want to update anything. I just want to test the printer. That's 1. Yeah. I didn't put F flush or F close, so it didn't work. So there you go. If you're printing, make sure to use, if you're printing to a file, make sure to use F flush and F close. So now we can see here in test 1, here's all of our updated information. And then I can hit 6 and it'll quit me. So 204 lines. That's shorter than it was, I think. Is it? I think it is.
Yeah, I thought it would be way longer.
Yeah, well, even see without using the switch case, it was like 200 and it was like 211. So if using the external functions a little bit shorter. Also, int main is 60 lines. Are you gonna make this code available? Yeah, I'll put it in Discord now in a sec. I probably should have. What I actually should have done. Actually, no, I already did. You now have a version with the switch case and a version without the switch case because the version that I sent into the Discord in the first place is the one without the switch case, and there's a version with it. The version that I put in the Discord also has the older syntax. I've updated it since, but all I've changed is the syntax. So yeah, this is it with 4 external functions instead of 3. So if you find any of these particularly hard to understand, you can drop one of them and just focus on the other 3. So if you understand how this one works, you understand how this one works, but you don't necessarily understand how this one works. Well, you get this one, you can drop the third one. That way you still have 3. So I believe this. If this was commented, and the layout's a little bit jank. Like I would especially fix the layout around here. I feel like this could be laid out a little bit better. Maybe just because it's zoomed in. But actually, this kind of there we go. There's one there that can be tabbed in. So yeah, if you're to fix up the layout a little bit, comment the hell out of it. You would need to, if you have all this kind of stuff, you would need to comment it a lot. I didn't flush there. Let me just flush. FP. Yeah, so you need to comment it a shit ton. Then you'd also need to write the report. But if you're to write the report and comment it aloud, this is a 100% answer. This is what I would consider a 100% answer. I'm not biased just because I did it. But this right here is pretty much perfect. Like I can't think of anything else that I would add. Like, but think about it. Yeah, like this is like this. There's what 20 marks, 25 marks in difference. Not even. I'd say 15 marks in difference between this and the one that's on the Discord. So this is definitely a very, very complex version. If you don't fully understand pointers, don't worry. It took me 2 shots to get them. I didn't understand pointers until we covered them again in second year in object-oriented programming. So until I did them again with Connor McCardle, I didn't really understand them. But it felt once I did them in C++, I'm like, oh, that's how they work, and I kind of understood them then. Other than that, I can't think of anything here I would change. So does anyone have any stop the recording? So